Hey guys, welcome to Weisenbaker Homestead. Christina here. Kellen's behind the camera. So we've gone over already 3 different ways to save money on chicken feed. Number 1, we talked about making your own chicken feed. So if you haven't seen that, go back and check it. Number 2, food scraps. Some of our roosters just got some chicken broth, okra, and some peas from the garden. The last video we made was on our self-sustaining protein source, mealworms. That one is really cool, so go check that out if you haven't already. We'll be doing more videos to follow up that, just to how to maintain a mealworm farm. So number 4, how to save money on chicken feed. Ferment. It's so easy. All you have to do is throw water in with your chicken feed and wait a couple days. It does the rest. So there's a lot of different methods you could use. I recommend researching it a little bit more before you start. There's a lot of really cool and efficient different methods, but what works best for us is our 5-gallon bucket system. We have a lot of chickens, and so we go through a lot of feed. And for the ferment process to fully be taking effect, you want that food to sit in the water for at least 3 days. So the way that we do it is I will fill the bucket half up, like I've said before, with the feed, and then I'll fill it the rest of the way up with water. And I will let that sit for 3 days, and I have a rotation system, so I have 2 buckets that I'll use. Well, that one bucket that's half full is going to feed our chickens for about 2.5 days. Usually on the 3rd day, I will pour the rest of the feed into the next bucket that's been sitting and fermenting. And then I would clean that bucket out. One thing you do have to be careful of is the mold, because there's a lot of moisture, and I keep the lid on. I don't want predators coming and getting into my stuff, so I keep a lid on. And so there's a lot of moisture built up in that bucket, and so when you're done with that bucket, I would recommend cleaning the bucket. We use an all-natural cleaner that's made in the US. If you guys want more information on that, I can get it for you. Leave a comment. But it's not harmful to the chickens, and so I'm okay with using it to clean the buckets. And then we'll turn around and put more feed in that container to prep for the following 3 days. Okay, so fermenting feed has a lot of benefits, not only to you, but also to your chickens. So when you ferment the feed, it will absorb the water and it will start breaking down itself. And so when you feed it to the chickens, the breakdown process has already started, and so they break it down more easy, and it is much more nutritious for them. They get more nutrition from the food that you're giving them. And not only that, but it doubles in the amount of food that you've started with. So in my bucket system, I start out with 25 pounds of feed in a 5-gallon bucket. And I will pour about half of it into another 5-gallon bucket in the morning, cover it in water. You want to make sure that it's completely submerged in water. I normally just fill it up to the top, play it safe, because if you don't have it covered in water, it will grow mold, and then that's just wasteful. Have half of a 5-gallon bucket, which you start with, cover it in water. The next morning you're going to pour out that water, which you guys will see me do in the video clip that I've attached for you, and it will double in size. So when we start out with, we make our homemade feed, we start out with 166 pounds of total feed, and with fermenting it, we end up with double that amount. So recap, you put a certain amount in, you get double that amount out, so it cuts your costs in half. So our feed, we pay for our homemade mixture. If you haven't seen it, go check that video out. But we pay about 22 cents a pound for a 24.5% protein mixture. And as we ferment that, like I said, it cuts the cost in half. So our feed is actually
11 cents.
11 cents. Our feed is actually 11 cents per pound. You cannot beat that. One more tidbit for you guys that is kind of built into fermenting your feed is rationing your chickens' feed instead of having them on full feed. That is going to make a huge difference in the amount that they eat and their egg production. From what I've learned as we've done this, the more that they eat, they get chunkier and they lay less eggs. So it's actually going to be better for them in their egg production, and it's going to be better on you in your pocket. So chickens really only need 1/3 of a pound of food a day. There is exceptions to that. Some of my chickens I feed 1/2 pound a day. And that is our roosters. We want them to get big. And so if you have meat chickens, I would say probably full feed or at least 1/2 pound a day. So that's what our roosters get. And the young chickens, so the pullets and the cockerels, you probably want to have them on either full feed or giving them a little bit more than they need. So I give them actually 1/2 pound a day also, but all of the laying hens, they only need 1/3 of a pound a day.